Greetings, friends. Welcome back again to my game room. I'm David McCord, and today we're going to take a trip up to an area of the world that we call Scandinavia, home to folks that we used to call the Laplanders, and they call themselves the Sami people, primarily up in Finland and the northwestern parts of Russia. They have a very rich culture there in that area. And one of the things, of course, that's part of their culture is their games. We want to talk about a game here that they play. That's one of what's called the running fight game family of games. And it's generally a game between two people that move about the board and try to eliminate each other's pieces as they move through a course together. It's similar to a North African game that's called Tab. Another Viking game which actually has come into some popularity these days called Daldos. These are very ancient games and a lot of variations, as you can imagine with anything that's 1,000 years old or so, but still played in variations around the world. And this particular version of Saku is part of our Peg Pastime series. It was a challenge to fit the game into this 4x4 pegboard, but I think we've done a fairly faithful representation of the game here, and I hope you enjoy it. Here, let's take a look at the rules and see how to play Saku.
Traditionally, 2 long dice are used, 4-sided sticks of wood marked with a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the flat sides. These traditional 4-sided long dice can be made or purchased. If standard 6-sided dice are used, any roll of 5 or 6 is just re-rolled. If you have 4-sided dice, or an app that will randomize 4 numbers, you're all set. Player pegs in 2 sets of 7 are referred to as soldiers in these rules, and the single uniquely colored peg is the king, called the ganagas in the Sami language. The 2 sides are traditionally called galgut and olmat, meaning men and women, but all are referred to indiscriminately as soldiers. Also included is a token to signify the player who controls the king. At the beginning of the game, the token is not given to either player. The 2 groups of connected spaces on the sides of the board represent the soldiers' barracks, and the center part of the board is the battleground. The space at the center is the castle. The castle begins with the king in place. Each player's 7 pieces are lined up off the board, lying on the table next to their corresponding peg holes in the barracks nearest the player. These soldiers are inactive, in keeping with the theme. They're asleep in the barracks. Each player in turn will toss the dice and take action based on the result. Soldiers must be activated before they can join the game. To activate a soldier, the player must roll a 1 on one face of the dice. Activation begins with a sleeping soldier nearest the king, and the newly activated soldier is put into its assigned peg hole. If that assigned space is occupied, the soldier cannot be activated. A die roll of 1 can also be used to move a soldier instead of activate 1 if the player wishes, and if the player has an active soldier available. With a die roll of 2, 3, or 4, a player may move 2 activated soldiers on their turn, or combine the die results to move 1 soldier. Soldiers' moves must follow the connecting lines on the board. These soldiers will continue to move along the path in the same direction until one of the following things happens. A, they reach the far end of the track, or B, they reach an empty space assigned to an inactive soldier of either color, or C, they reach a space where 2 opposing soldiers are side by side. In any of these situations, the soldier reverses direction and continues their movement until the same situation happens again. They essentially rebound and move the other way to finish their movement. Keeping track of the soldier's direction of movement is the weakest part of playing the game, and pieces with a direction mark on them are definitely beneficial. If a peg lands in the same space as an opposing soldier by exact count, the opponent's peg is removed. If a peg lands on the same space as the king peg is not removed, but the player takes control of the king as a soldier on their side of the conflict. To keep track of this, they take possession of the king token. The soldier that landed on the king's space is removed from the game. The king moves and captures like a soldier, but can be moved in either direction along the path, and can jump the track, following the small arrows to another leg of the track. This is a powerful option, but of course the king is easily susceptible to being usurped by the other player.
Among the varieties of Saku are larger games that would have as many as 15 pieces per side, sometimes even more than that. This particular one has 7 pieces per side, so it's a little easier to play the game in a shorter time. But if you like those larger games, you can look it up and have a chance to make your own board, or maybe even buy a board to play the larger game. According to one of my sources, the name Saku actually means game of the devil, and it was called that by the church and was banned for a while, as were most pastimes. And so that's the game of Saku. We hope you enjoy this game and get a chance to play it, get a chance to look it over there in the Red Hen catalog, along with all the other pastimes games there. Thanks for watching our video and tuning into our channel. We hope you'll subscribe and share it with some other friends, and watch for more videos in the future. 2022 promises to keep them coming and teach more about games and their history. And if you have any suggestions or questions, be sure and put those in the comments, and we'll see what we can do to address those. And so meanwhile, I'm David McCord, and I want to remind you to play every day.